Today I'm sharing the ultimate guide to rendering tallow and the common mistakes that leave people with smelly, dark-colored, or even moldy tallow. If you've ever followed a tutorial and ended up with tallow that still smells like beef or looks darker than expected, you probably just missed a small detail. One of these mistakes is almost invisible while you're rendering, but it shows up weeks later and can ruin the whole batch. I'll explain that one before we finish. If you only change one thing about how you render tallow, let it be this: use the wet rendering method. The wet rendering method simply means adding water while rendering. When you render fat without water, it can get too hot and start browning. Once that happens, you'll get that stronger beef smell and darker color. Water acts like temperature control. It keeps the fat from sautéing and caramelizing. I render on low heat with enough water to fully buffer the fat so that the temperature always stays gentle. I also add some salt, which helps purify the tallow by drawing impurities from the tallow into the water. And don't worry, none of the salt stays in the finished tallow. Since water and fat don't mix, the salt stays in the water and not the tallow. After straining, I refrigerate it so that the tallow hardens on top and the water separates beneath. And that's where the magic really happens. But even with the wet method, your tallow can still turn out darker or softer than expected, and that usually comes down to the type of fat you started with. So if you're rendering tallow and you find out that it's smelling too strong, it likely just got too hot. Keep it low, slow, and protected with water. And before we get to that, if you're looking for some DIY personal care recipes that use tallow, check out my free recipe ebook linked in the description below this video. Now, this is the part that most beginners don't realize matters. Leaf fat, also called suet, is the hard, waxy fat from around the internal organs, like the kidneys. Trim fat is the softer fat that is cut from other cuts of meat when the animal is processed. Leaf fat renders lighter, firmer, and cleaner. Trim fat works perfectly fine for cooking, but it also produces a softer, slightly grainier tallow. You can use trim fat tallow for soap making and skincare like tallow balm, but between the two, leaf fat definitely produces the nicest skincare and soaps. A lot of frustration comes from expecting trim fat to behave like leaf fat, and they just don't turn out the same. And if you're making skincare with tallow especially, that difference becomes very noticeable. If all you have is soft trim fat tallow and you're making something like tallow balm and you want it to be smooth and you don't want it to have a grainy texture, here's a pro tip for you. During the step when you let your tallow balm solidify, speed that process up. Make it solidify very, very quickly, like in a freezer or a deep freezer if possible. What this does is makes the tallow harden very, very quickly, and it prevents the fat molecules from separating out, which is what produces that grainy texture in softer trim fat tallow. Then you can have smooth tallow balm even if all you have is trim fat tallow. So do the fast solidifying step right after you pour it into your jars if you're making a solid tallow balm, or right before you want it to solidify before whipping it if you're doing whipped tallow balm. And even if you have the perfect fat to start with, there's another mistake that can really lower your yield and makes the process take way longer than it needs to. So if your tallow is turning out soft, it may not be your method, it may be the type of fat that you're starting with. And before we get to the next mistake, leave me a comment and let me know. Which one of these mistakes surprised you the most? Have you already run into any of these, or are you new to rendering tallow? Leave me a comment, I'd love to hear. Now this one dramatically affects how much tallow you actually get. Large chunks of fat don't release all of the liquid fat trapped inside because there isn't enough exposed surface area. Now you can grind the raw fat, you can chop it finely, you can use a food processor. What I personally like to do is let it soften in the crock pot first. This works even if you're starting off with larger chunks of raw fat. And then once everything has softened nicely, I use an immersion blender to whiz everything up into much smaller pieces. That one step speeds everything up and noticeably improves yield. Most people stop at chopping or grinding, but breaking it down even further makes a huge difference. The smaller the fat pieces, the faster it will render and the more tallow it will yield. And even if you do all of that right, there is still one other thing that can undo all of your careful work. So just remember that smaller pieces equal better yield and more efficient rendering. And before we get to that next mistake, if you would like a collection of DIY home remedy recipes, be sure and grab my free ebook linked down in the description. Now, this is where people accidentally turn rendering into frying. If there isn't enough water, the fat temperature climbs too high and starts to brown. Once the fat browns, it develops a stronger smell and a darker color. And especially in dry climates, water can evaporate faster than you think. When I'm putting my tallow into the crock pot to render, I don't measure precisely. I just make sure that there's plenty of water to buffer the heat and keep the temperature nice and gentle everywhere. I keep an eye on it while it's rendering, and I add more water if needed. While I'm rendering, I always keep the lid of the crock pot on to slow down the water evaporation. Basically, the rendering process should be nice and calm, not aggressive. But even if everything looks perfect when it's finished at first, there's one final mistake that can show up later. So just remember that low heat and enough water plus some salt equals clean, neutral smelling tallow. Now, this is the mistake that you don't see until it's too late. When you're melting tallow down again after rendering, a small bit of water can gather at the bottom of your melted tallow. If you pour that water into your storage jars along with the tallow without realizing it, that moisture can lead to mold. So when I melt my tallow down, one final step before pouring it into jars, I let it sit briefly and I watch for any water to gather at the bottom of the melted tallow. And then when I'm pouring my tallow into my jars, I watch and I'm very careful to not let any of that water that's gathered at the bottom pour into the jars. Pour only the top tallow layer into the jar. It's such a small detail, but it determines whether or not your tallow stays beautiful for months. So always check for that water layer before storing. It really is the difference between long shelf life and disappointment. Another way that you can store tallow is, rather than melting it down and pouring it into storage jars, you can just leave the chunk of tallow that you popped off in open air and let that dry, and then that will let water evaporate that way. So if I'm using tallow for short-term use, like I want to cut some pieces off now and then and use in my cooking, I'll often leave a big tallow chunk sitting on my counter, and the air flow around it allows any remaining water to dry away. Now, if you followed all of these things and you still notice that your tallow has a bit of color to it, oftentimes a more yellow color, that's nothing to worry about. The way that the tallow finished looks can also depend on the breed of the cattle that it came from. Some cattle produce fat with more yellow fat and some produce fat with more of a white color. It can also have to do with the time of year, the seasons, what the cattle were eating, maybe fresh, fast-growing grass versus hay or grain or something like that. All of these factors can impact what color the tallow ends up being. So when I'm talking about light-colored tallow in this video, I'm talking about tallow that has not been allowed to burn. So hopefully that helps clear that up. Those same factors can also impact the smell of finished tallow. Leaf fat tends to be the most odorless when it's finished, and trim fat can tend to have a little bit more of a smell at times. But again, the breed, the season, the quality, what the cattle were eating, all of that can also impact what the tallow smells like when it's finished. In any case, this is the method to get the most odorless tallow possible, no matter what type of fat you're starting with. And if you're using it for something like skincare or soap making, adding some essential oils can cover any remaining smell if you happen to have a fat that still has some sort of a smell after you've followed all these steps. So rendering tallow really isn't complicated. It just needs to be gentle and intentional. So use the best fat that you can source, or use my tips to get the best possible tallow from whatever type of fat you're starting with. Break it down into small pieces, render low and slow with some water and some salt, and make sure no water stays behind at the end. Once you understand these few details, you'll consistently get light, odorless tallow that you're proud of. Once I have my raw fat in the crock pot initially, I will add plenty of water, a good sprinkle of salt, usually a couple tablespoons for my big crock pot, and then I will put the lid on and I will let that render for about 8 to 12 hours total. Whenever my fat chunks are big and I'm not starting off with very finely ground tallow, I will let it start rendering for 2 to 3, sometimes as much as 4 or 5 hours. And when everything looks nice and soft, then I will get my immersion blender, and that's when I will whiz everything up into a nice soupy mixture that really speeds it up and helps it render and yield a lot more tallow. After the tallow has finished rendering, I will go ahead and I will strain everything through my fine mesh strainer into a metal bowl. I will then take that metal bowl that has the tallow and the water and put that in the refrigerator, and I'll discard the scraps that were strained out. That's the connective tissue and anything that's not tallow or water that gets left behind in the metal strainer. Those scraps I'll feed to my chickens, and they love them. The bowl of tallow and water will go into the refrigerator where it will solidify. Once the tallow has solidified, I will pop that tallow cake off the top. I will scrape any discoloration that I can see off the bottom, discard that water from below, and at this point, it's actually ready to use for cooking. No further purification steps are needed if I'm just using it for cooking. At this point, I can either leave the tallow chunk to sit on the counter and use pieces of it, or I can melt it down and pour it into jars to store. If I'm going to be using the tallow for skincare, like tallow balm or soap making, then I will do a purification step. So I will put that tallow cake back into my clean crock pot, add a bunch of water, another couple tablespoons of salt, and then I will bring that up to a simmer on low heat in the crock pot, and I'll let that simmer for about an hour. Once that hour is up, I will strain the tallow again, this time through my metal strainer lined with some cheesecloth. The tallow and the water will go into the metal bowl underneath just like before. I'll put that in the refrigerator, it'll solidify. I'll pop the tallow off, and this time it will be much more pure. And this tallow is perfect for using in soap making and tallow balm and lots of other skincare recipes. If you're looking for a huge collection of tallow skincare recipes, I share lots of them on my website, bumblebeeapothecary.com. And if you would like to make some DIY natural beauty recipes, be sure and check out my free ebook that's linked down in the description below this video. Now that you know about the ultimate guide to rendering tallow, you might be wanting to make your own tallow from start to finish following all the steps, but how do you do that? It all starts by watching this video next here, where I show the entire process step by step, because when you pair what you just learned here about what mistakes to avoid with what this video will show you, it will really set you up for success. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.